want to take my SkySlope training?
I do. What is the SkySlopes thing you speak about?
SkySlope is our it's our cloud-based file system. Let me close my other screens. It's where we put all of the documents for the real estate files. Once all the disclosures and the documents are signed, it's where all the reports and inspections and appraisals and everything go for these properties.
But an agent gets these files. They come in typically from the vendor.
No.
Directly to the agent. Oh, no.
No.
Okay.
No, the agent creates the files or their TC. They're paying a TC.
Correct. What I mean was the content for it.
The content is created by the agent. All of the disclosures and like the listing agreements or the purchase contracts, all of that's created by the agent. So this is what SkySlope looks like. This is our broker dashboard. Can you see? I'm trying to share my screen.
I can.
Okay. I have access to all the files throughout the entire office because I'm an administrator and I'm also helping audit them a little bit, and I have to put items in the files. So I'm looking at all of these numbers up here are for the entire office. Each agent has their own login and password. So when they log in, they only see their files. They don't see everybody else's like I'm able to. So if you had any active listings or anything pending, those numbers would show here for you. So what SkySlope is, it's a cloud-based file system. So what you do is you can work on your file anytime, any place, anywhere you are, as long as you have Wi-Fi. You can email items in, you can upload them the old school way from your device. There's a number of ways to get the items in here, but I'm going to kind of show you what a listing would look like. So let's say you start with a listing. I have to go into a file so we can see what they look like. There's a template with like instructions on what items are required for our brokerage for each file. So let me see. I'm going to go into Monica's just because it's here. Okay. So as you enter a listing, you would get your listing agreement signed between you and your client, and then you would put it into the brokerage after it's been ratified. And you have 72 hours per the DRE and CAR guidelines to get your documents turned into your brokerage. And turning them into your brokerage nowadays is putting it here. Before, you would have to bring a physical file with copies of your listing agreement in and give it to your broker. You know, we would have piles of files on desks everywhere and filing cabinets, but now it's all digital, so it's in the cloud and it's all here. So what you do is you kind of go through, and SkySlope's really smart. It's got a lot of like AI. It's incorporated with Google Maps, Google Maps, and like all of the public records. So it kind of is smart enough to sort of help fill in a lot of this information, but anything in here with a red asterisk is required before you can proceed to the next screen. So you have to have all of your information in front of you when you're entering in your information on your listing, which most agents are going to know off the top of their head. They're going to know the address. The MLS number will go here. You'll have to get that obviously from the MLS because it's auto-generated when you put your house on the market. The date entered, the street number, the direction if it's, hold on, sorry, I'm clicking and I can't alter this yet. If it's street, way, drive, place, or whatever it is, would go there. The street name goes here. Unit number, if it's like a suite or an apartment or a townhouse or a condo that has like a ABC or a 1, 2, 3, whatever, it would go there, and so forth. The listing agent goes here. You can add a co-list agent if there's more than one agent working on a listing, so you could just add them here, and it pulls from our roster. I have to input the agents and their information into our SkySlope account when they're onboarded so that they have access, and then when you click on these drop-down menus, it has all of our agents' names, so you can just select who you want. The type is a listing. The list price, the year built. This is really important because depending on the year it was built, there are additional disclosures if it's older than a specific time frame, or it is going to be like lead-based paint or earthquake safety, things like that. And then the source is if it's a personal referral or a paid lead or something like that. And then down here, you're going to enter in the commissions, because when you take the listing, you figure that out with your seller at that time, what you're going to make versus what you're going to pay out to the buy side. So those numbers go here, and SkySlope keeps track of this later. So once it becomes an escrow, or SkySlope calls it a transaction, it will help figure out the commissions later on. Additional information all goes here. If you have a referral or a transaction coordinator fee, things like that, those all go here. And once all this stuff is filled in, you can click next, and then it basically takes you across these columns. So the contacts is going to be all of the players involved. It shows you up here at the top, address of the property, the agent name, the list price, who the seller is. And then you'll notice this email address right here. This is auto-generated from SkySlope every time a file is input, whether it's a seller side or a buyer side. The email is basically going to always be the street name, the direction, and then the street number at skyslope.com. So if you got a listing at 123 Main Street, it would be Main Street 123 at skyslope.com, and that's going to be your contact. So anytime you're emailing about this particular property or even texting, you can add this email in as a contact, and you can forward everything into your files. You can keep good record of your conversation log and all of that. And so it will dump into the file, and I'll show that a little bit later. You can't change this email once it's put in, so as you're entering the address, make sure the address is correct, otherwise the email will be wrong. And if you go back in to correct the address, the email will not change. It will stay the same as it was when you originally created the file. So that can be kind of tricky, because sometimes that happens. So you'll go through here and you'll enter in the seller. Now, if this box is optional, so it wants to know if the seller is a trust, company, or an entity. If it is like a trust or a probate or some other type of entity other than Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you would check that box, and that also triggers other documents down the line that will be required by the brokerage. So that is something that we can talk about later if there's questions. And then you put the seller's first name, last name, email address, their street address if it's different from the property in question. You click save and next, and then it takes you down through these. Home warranty, if you're going to order one right out of the gate, you can put all that information here. And then miscellaneous contacts would go here. Sometimes there is alternate people involved, but not always. And then here is the checklist. Now the checklist is going to be kind of auto-generated depending on the type of property. If it's traditional resale, single family, you'll get a specific template that comes up that shows the documents required. If it's a mobile home or something other, then the required documents are a little bit different. But this is just a single family residential. And so here are all the things that are required for a listing. All of these things. Not all of them are definitely required. You can see there's a lot of, if applicable, things here, because not every listing has a modification of the original terms. This one is not a manufactured home, so we don't need that. It's not a probate, so we don't need that, and so forth. But we always need everything that is showing in dark blue as required to be uploaded, and then it will get reviewed by the broker or some file review person, and then either accepted if it's complete and all the signatures are there and everything's filled out correctly. It will turn to green and it'll say completed. If there's something wrong with it, it'll get rejected and it will turn purple, and it will, or red, and it'll say needs attention. And then usually your broker will put a comment in this comment box telling you either why it's not needed, or it's coming later, or there's an issue, or if it's out for signature or something like that, so that we know that you're working on it. So you can see the MLS printout says completed. Now, there's also a button that says attach. And I think on your end, this button is not there because I'm an administrator, so I'm able to review and unaccept or reject something, but you guys don't. So you have an attach button. If you click attach, you can pull this document from your desktop or from your computer if you have it saved somewhere, or you can email it in, and I'll show you how to attach it to this line item differently in a minute. Also, if you see this little paper clip here, it means that there is a document attached to this line item. If I hover over it, this little screen comes up, if you just wait a second, and it'll show you what the document is. And if it's multiple pages, you'll be able to scroll through them by either clicking on these up and down or by dragging the bar on the right hand side. If I close this out, if I click on it, it opens a larger screen and lets me see it a little bigger. Okay, so you can see that all of these items that were required are now completed, except for this one. This one, she's saying we will get it with the disclosures. So we can't approve this listing because there are still a few items that are out and still required. Once they are all here, we can then change this file to a transaction, and it will all flip into the other checklist, which is going to be combined seller and buyer stuff, but all for the same property. And it knows which items are already uploaded, and it'll combine the listing stuff at the bottom, and then the purchase stuff will then come up on top. And I'll show you purchase in a second also. Okay, so that's kind of the checklist. The documents tab is where all of the disclosures, reports, you can put your flyers in here, you can put your photos in here, anything and everything that has to do with this property address goes in the documents section. You're not always going to take the things from this section and put them onto the checklist. This is kind of like, think of it like a Dropbox or a dumping ground for everything that you have for this property that needs to be kept in your broker file. So you can select items from this section and either download them, assign them to line items in that previous area called the checklist. You can unassign, you can fax things, you can share stuff from here to the lender or your title rep or another agent. You can DigiSign from here, which is basically the same as DocuSign, but it's free because it's part of the SkySlope portal. And then you can email things out of here, and you can also upload things into here and keep them here for use later.
Okay, I have a question. So when you assign that, if we assigned the FHDA Fair Housing Discrimination thing to part of the checklist, does it then move out of there, or does it send a copy to it?
It stays in both places.
Awesome.
Once an item is in the document section, it stays here for you to work it or move it or send it out or do whatever you need to do with it from here. But once
the other question I had was,
you can't delete anything. Once it's in here, it stays here.
Oh, okay.
So it keeps people from being sneaky or being, not honest.
So be careful what you upload in there then. Okay. That you don't upload the wrong document.
You can also email from your email account to this email address, and it will dump the documents here for you to use or move or work later.
That's where the default is when you email from that email.
When you email to this email, it dumps everything into this file.
Okay. And then that next to DigiSign, you have email. If somebody were to email that document, would it come from the Brentwood Boulevard email, or would it come from your email?
Your email. But it CCs the file, and then I'll show you the log. The log keeps track. Everything in SkySlope is timestamped, so you can see everything that's going on. Like, here's the log, and it's showing you that Suzanne, on 9/21 and 11/26, viewed a document. and it tells you what document I viewed. Here you can see Monica's been doing stuff. She's been checking notes or viewing documents. If I don't know if she, okay, here's an email. So it says email received from her TC, and she emailed it to WR Properties broker, me, and also the file. And if I click here on this blue email received, it's going to show me the original email that was sent from Deb to the broker, to me, and to the SkySlope file. If there was any attachments, it would actually show the original attachment here, and I can open it and see it. And it also takes that attached document and it dumps it into the previous area where we just were, into the document section to do something with it if we needed to. Let's see, there isn't anything in here. I'll show you on a transaction because that's more the case. And then here is a tab for tasks. Now the tasks, most people don't use this, but most of the time, either people don't know that they have this option, or they just don't take the time to create a template of tasks. But it could be as simple as, don't forget to put the lockbox on, or price changes due next week, or you know, literally anything. It could be a task for your TC, it could be a task for your assistant, it could be a task for your client, it could be anything you want. You just have to create it yourself and put it here. You can import a template if you've created like a listing task template, like put it into the MLS, put the lockbox on it, put up the sign, order the post to be installed, get inspections ordered, anything, get the photos done, anything you want. It could be put in here and it will alert you. You can tell it who else to alert if you have an assistant or someone else that is helping you work your file. It can also alert your TC if your TC needs to then like generate something or prepare a document or help you do something. There's all kinds of things.
Can you customize those alerts?
Yes. That's why there's nothing here, because you have to create these yourself.
I mean, so for instance, let's say this is a listing. And in my one of the things on my template is that we are going to walk the house a couple days before the pictures are going to be taken.
Yeah. Do anything you want.
So you said that you could include somebody else. So let's say I wanted to include the homeowner on that. Could I customize that alert as far as it saying, "Hi, Suzanne, just wanted to let you know that in 2 days, we're going to do the walkthrough for your pictures. I'll be there. Make sure to, you know."
Yeah, hypothetically, you could do that, but I wouldn't do that from the file. I would do that from my personal email. But
Gotcha.
you could remind yourself to do that from here.
Oh, okay.
And then write your email or your text message or whatever you want to do. And then create a contact in your phone, which is going to be basically the house, Brentwood Boulevard 8350, and the email is going to be this email. So when you're texting, it's keeping track of your conversation log, because that's one thing that realtors tend to not remember to do, is keep their conversation log clean and legit. A lot of people are texting and then they don't keep their text messages, they delete them or whatever, and then if you get into litigation or a lawsuit later, it's your word against theirs because nothing's been put in writing. You know, I always tell everybody to do email as much as possible because you have record of it. You can always reference it and then put it into your file so that 2 years from now, you're not going to remember sometimes some minute thing that might have happened or some conversation that might have occurred unless you have record of it somewhere.
Awesome.
So,
what about how compatible is this to High Note?
I have no idea. No.
I'm wondering if I'm sure if you copied this.
When I am helping Wesley on his listings, I use the tasks, but it's been a minute since he's had me do some stuff on his listings, but I utilize it on his stuff. So let's go into a transaction. Transaction is an escrow. So now this is a property that probably was a listing at one point, or it's now in escrow, or it's just a buyer, started as a buyer and it is still in escrow. I can see property address, the status, the agent, the office. It's always, should always be WR Properties, and how many incomplete items and when it's closing. So I look at this every day and I can kind of see what files need attention, and it helps me keep track of what closings are supposed to come in today, or stuff that's should have already come in and the file's just not finished, or what's coming next week. I can kind of get an idea of what's coming down the line by looking at the list, and we have like almost 40 files in play right now. We have some canceled stuff, and then these are waiting to be archived, but that's all like administrative stuff. So let's look at Misty's, because hers are pretty clean, and she probably wouldn't mind. So she is on the buy side, and it's a new home. This is not a good file because there's not going to be very much to show you. Hold on. New homes don't require quite as much. So we'll look at this one. We'll look at Jacqueline's, Laura Drive in Concord. Okay, the checklist is where the meat and potatoes of the file are. So here is her file, and it's going to close next week. Okay, here we go. So the sales documentation, preliminary title report goes here. Appraisal should go here. CC&Rs should go here. It's pretty complicated when you're reviewing, because the preliminary title report, when you open it, it shows you specifics on the property, and I'm just gonna scroll through here because I know where the CC&Rs are gonna be, and it does have CC&Rs. So technically, if I were reviewing files, I would make her open this link, download the CC&Rs, and then upload them here. But I'm not in charge of the files right now, Monica is, and if she wants that to be a thing, then she'll implement that. But I think she's probably okay with it as it stands, because the prelim is here and it's attached. The CC&Rs are embedded into that, so you know, it is what it is. And then HOA docs. If there's an HOA for that home, they would need to be uploaded here. And the appraisal, it would be nice if that got uploaded there. And then miscellaneous stuff, because sometimes there's extra items that apply with that stuff. Here are the disclosures. So I always have the agents upload the commission demand here so that we can see it, and it's been signed by everybody and approved by everyone. If it changes, if the price changes, then all the numbers are going to be affected. I have them uploaded again so that we have all the copies, and anybody can go in here and look and see what is going on with the file. Here's the MLS pending, the tax roll, pre-qual letter, proof of funds, purchase agreement, blah, blah, blah. You can see that this one is still required, this agency relationship. It hasn't been uploaded yet, but almost everything is in here and completed. You can see the Avid WR side, sent for signatures on 9/5, so I'm not sure why it's not back and uploaded yet, but maybe there's a reason. Jacqueline's pretty good about her files. So let's see what else. This is not in a fire zone, so because I'm an admin, I can go in here and click not required, and now it's not required anymore. It's only showing if applicable, because she looked into it and made this notation. I trust that her notation is correct. Local disclosures. Where is this property? It's in Concord. There probably is a local disclosure, but so let's see. Everything else is in here. So just a couple of items are outstanding. And then, oh, okay, so here's the reports. So you have all the escrow and title stuff in one section. You've got the reports in another section, all the other disclosures in another section. And then down here, you have the closing documents. So the verification of property condition is due a week before close. You need to go walk the property with your buyer and make sure that the property is still in the same condition roughly as it was when you decided to buy it, and you wrote the offer 30 or 45 or 60 days ago. And if there were any requested repairs or anything that was negotiated during the contingency time period fixed and all of that. So the verification of property condition is really important. That should be done a week before close. And then here's the final HUD statement. This is when it closes. A couple days later, I get these broker closing statements, and the TC will attach that here. And then I track down the copies of wires and checks that were dispersed per our commission demand, and I put the copies here because oftentimes we have to go back and find something that got lost in the mail, or the check was cut wrong, or something got wired in the wrong place. It does happen. And a lot of times on the Zillow Flex leads, if the agent doesn't upload their closing package to their Zillow Flex account, which is different from this, sometimes Zillow doesn't have record that they got paid. So if I have the closing statement showing that title paid them, as well as a copy of the check that was sent to them, I can show them, look, escrow paid you. I don't know where it went, but follow up with it. Or look, it was wired. You guys just haven't updated your books yet. So that's always good to have. And then the communication log, she just says see SkySlope log. So we're going to go up there and look at that really quick, because we were just talking about the communication log. So here is an email with an attachment. So let's look at this. So this is her social media post or something. So look, she's really good. She even puts her social media stuff in her SkySlope file. So let's look at it, which is pretty cool, because not everybody is this thorough. They should be, but they're not this thorough.
I would think it'd be a great place to just keep everything.
I can't
so you're not looking in different spots for everything.
Right. It's not letting me look at it super easily. But anyway, I can. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. I had to download it before it would let me see it. So here's her little social media thing that she put in her SkySlope file, which is really great. So you get the idea. Whoops. Let's see. Email received. Here's her. We'll look at this email. Has an attachment. I can click on the attachment, and I can see that sometimes it's these little email things.
Signatures.
Yeah. So sometimes it's deceiving, but let me go. So you can see literally everything that's ever happened in this file back to when it was created. What time and date, everything. So see, she does a timeline, which is pretty cool. But she is like me. She's got like a TC. Oh, this is a timeline sent to them by the other side. So this is good to have in here. It helps everybody keep track of timelines and contingency removal dates and things like that. So okay, so that's kind of it. It's simple but also complicated at the same time. Let's see if she has tasks in here. Nope, she doesn't. She must have a checklist or something that she uses. But so anyway, when they close the files, this one is still active-ish. It hasn't like been closed out yet because it's not closing till the 25th. But I can also go, each agent has an archive. So if you had a buyer and you got an escrow and you closed your file, they're going to go into the archives. I have access to all of them because I'm an administrator, but each agent typically only sees theirs. They don't see everybody else's information. But we can see, since we started with SkySlope, every file that we need to keep them for about 5 years for reference, and can kind of go in and look at everything that was done in the file. It just keeps it in this separate section because it's not active anymore. It's already closed. You can reactivate it. You can actually download all documents or just the checklist stuff that goes in the checklist. Sometimes when you get into litigation, the lawyers will ask for everything associated with that file, including the conversation log, because they want to figure out who's liable for whatever the problem is. And that's when we need to do that. So I've had to do that before. That's kind of it. So let me go home to the main screen. If you remember the client, but you don't remember the street name or what the property address was, you can search by property address, agent name, client name, escrow number, MLS number, file ID, or transaction. You can search for your file a number of ways. If you need help, support is here. They have really great tutorials and videos and how to do anything. They're already created. They're actually really great. Let's see. How to create a transaction. We'll just look at that really quick. They have these little articles, but then they also have videos and movable, like step-by-step. So here is the movable screen. So you can kind of see. First, you search for the address. And then you enter all of this stuff in. And it's got this little, and then click next. And then you do this, and then you do that. And it's like, because some people are visual learners and some people need to read and walk through step by step. So like if I'm watching a video on something, I'll typically watch it and then pause it and then go do that step, and then I'll come back and I'll hit go and then I'll do it again. But they have both here. So you can watch the video or you can go through these step-by-step instructions on anything. How to convert a listing to a transaction, how to make it double-ended, how to create a listing. Sky is their like Alexa. Sky helps you, it asks you what's the property address, what city is it in, and then it pulls from public records and it pulls from Google Maps and it pulls as much information as it can from Google, because it's integrated really deeply with it, and helps autofill as much as it can find. A lot of times if it's a brand new development with new homes, it's harder because some of that information is not registered with cities and counties yet. Maybe they don't even know what the street names are going to be. So it'll be like lot 11, like Wes has one right now. I have to try and figure out what happened to it, if it closed, or if I have it in our system twice, once as like a miscellaneous lot and then maybe another time with an actual address. So anyway, there's all kinds of training things in here. You can order your home warranty through here. You can also order your natural hazard report through here, and then it will email escrow an invoice, and then it's like it tries to make everything as easy as possible. Let's see, and then you can also print from here. There are apps that are integrated. So Forms is basically the where like we go, it's called Zip Forms. We go there to get our listing agreements and our purchase contracts and all these legal documents. It helps kind of like integrate with that, and it helps you fill out forms, and it tells you if you have questions, kind of advises you through it. DigiSign is the digital signature, free. I think they're going to start to charge now because they can. But for a while it was free. And then Breeze is something that you can utilize to fill out your AVIDs while you're on the go. You can talk to text and it will fill in the fields for you, and it'll help prepare your document for you.
Does SkySlope have a mobile app?
Yeah.
So that's where you go onto Breeze. You open up your SkySlope app in Breeze, and you could do your agent visual inspection right there, and then it'll just go right into their file, into that.
Yeah, it'll dump into your file, and you can attach photos and all kinds of stuff. It's pretty cool. Because when you're sitting at your desk at your office, you're trying to remember, okay, what, and a lot of times you don't have photos to incorporate or to put in there. Like you've probably seen like some inspections, home inspections and things where they put the pictures to verify what they're saying, to show that there is damage here or something needs to be fixed.
And that's a template that walks you through, like the front doorway.
Yep.
Things that you can look for and click. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yep. And that's kind of it. It's pretty evolved. They keep changing and tweaking things to help us do this part a lot easier. The TCs have access to our agents' files, so they're working remotely from their house and they're uploading things into these files, and the agents can see them, and then the brokerage can see them, and so it's pretty cool.
So do all the TCs have everybody's individual logins?
Sometimes. And sometimes, like with us, because we're not anymore, but we were small enough that we had like 30 people. And so like Deb had admin access, so she could just start a file for anybody at any point in time and not need individual logins and passwords. But I mean, we have so many TCs now, we have so many agents now, I can't give that access to just everybody, because then they're looking in everyone's files and they have access to all of this confidential information, financials and things. So there's only a couple of people that have admin access. And then there's like a limited TC that can create listings and transactions on behalf of agents, but they need to have a little bit of the, it's basically just your email that we have on our roster, and then each agent creates their own password when they are onboarded.
Very cool. Well, thank you for
questions?
This tutorial. This was
Welcome.
really good. I can see this being such a benefit. Wow. Other than files everywhere, it looks like it's simple, but that was a very good.
It is simple. Once you use it once, it all makes sense, and it's easier than it probably looks if you've never been in here yet.
Awesome. Well,
So
thank you so much, Suzanne.
Thank you for coming to my class. Sorry we got started a little late, but we're good.
This is going to be awesome to have in the university.
Yeah, I know. And I did another one too with Christine, but I don't think I don't know what happened to the recording. So,
Oh,
all right.
All right. Well, thanks. Have a great day.
Have a good day.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right.